YouTube. For those that don't know, this is called kite buggying. I'm sure some people might be seeing this for the first time watching this video. I'd almost forgotten about this activity myself, but when quarantine hit, this was among the several ridiculous hobbies that I revitalized just to keep myself entertained. It's hard to find any of the equipment I'm using nowadays, but I don't think all hope is lost for someone looking to get into this. I got a buggy a long time ago, sort of as an aside to kiteboarding, but my first buggy was very lightweight. It had small bolts, pretty light gauge steel, it's not something terribly safe at high speeds. So I managed to find this Lynn Competition XR Plus buggy that I'm using in the video from a dealer in Canada. I think it was possibly the last buggy for sale in North America. It has much bigger bolts, heavy gauge tubing, and fairly big wheel bearings. It's built for what I'd call freestyle, things like shredding, jumping, etc. Basically, it can take big hits and not fall apart. Most of what I've seen for buggies online are European custom builds, and those buggies are very different than the model I'm using, mainly for one reason: speed. Custom builds usually look massive with really spacious frame geometry. The rider's legs are fully extended. They have really wide rear axles. So what those riders sacrifice is portability. They also sacrifice agility and maneuverability on the sand, but what they gain is a vehicle that can handle more powerful kites and much higher speeds more safely. You'll see those riders wearing like full face helmets, even body armor. I have total respect for that approach. It's awesome, but I just wanted to point out that this is not what that is. This is a production run buggy made for more average consumers. I've made a lot of modifications and custom parts for this buggy, like any kiter is known to do, and I'll do another video later to go over those. Flying a Lynn C-Quad. Those are among the first power kites ever designed. They require a lot of finesse from the pilot and have a lot of shortcomings, but they can be very rewarding. It's sort of a constant learning process using them. Case in point, on this particular day, I did something I didn't know I could do, just sort of intuitively. Here you see the kite dropping out of the sky because I overflew the window. And this is the characteristic descent of a C-Quad with its back to the wind. It is possible to recover from this, but at this particular moment, I didn't want to. I wanted to stop flying for a minute. Usually in a fall, as opposed to a controlled landing, the kite hits the ground nose first, and that's a little hard on the frame of the kite. At the very last second, I pulled back on the front lines, and the bridle swept the leading edge towards the wind, and the kite landed gently on its belly with no frame stress. I don't know how I thought of that. I'd never done it before. It was sort of improvisational, but like I said, always learning with these kites. I want to make another video about C-Quads to explain their characteristics relative to modern kites and to review all the modifications I've made. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm lining up for another speed run here. The apparent wind on these kites builds up really quickly, which is the wind speed the kite sees, which is higher than the ground wind speed. I managed to hit about 29 miles an hour. Not a record by any means, but when you're seated a couple inches from the ground in a freestyle buggy, it's pretty invigorating.